Last weekend, my mother came home from adult daycare on the bus, and things were a little bit different. For one, she had this mask thing around her neck, and for the other, the bus driver who brought her home, which is really, he's a pretty good guy, he said that he had been told by the people he reported to at the bus company, and I'm not mentioning their name for now, told him that if the place she was at didn't put a mask on her and try to keep her wearing it, that he should leave her there and not bring her back home. And of course the people there told him she's not going to keep the mask on. And she didn't keep the mask on. But luckily, like I said, he's a good guy, so he went ahead and brought her home. But he told me this when he got home. And I was irked. I was irked for more than one reason. So I stewed about it all weekend long, and then today I had a chance to talk to someone. I wanted to talk to a supervisor because part of my issue was with management, but it turned out she wasn't there, so I talked to one of the customer service people. Now, one of the things that I'm probably good at because of my experience and what I've had to do over the course of my years is I don't take out any of my issues on customer service people because they're only doing their job. They didn't make up the rules or anything like that. But I had to let this young lady who I was talking to know that I was not necessarily pleased, but I did tell her I was going to be nice, and she said she appreciated that. So here are my issues. The first issue I had was I said, you folks know what dementia people are like. You make the contracts. You know that people with dementia are not going to listen. You can't tell them what to do. They don't know what you're telling them. You can tell them to put a mask on as much as you want to. They're not going to do it. You can tell the people at the place where she goes that they have to put a mask on her. But one, that's not her job, or that's not their job to keep that mask on her. And two, there's nothing they can do. What do you expect them to do? Tie it up on them? Three, I can't do it. I can't tell her what to do. She doesn't listen to me. She doesn't listen to anybody. That was the first gripe I had. The biggest gripe I had was the fact that this was the third time in the last 2 years where management at this bus company decided that not only did they want something specific from me, and I have to say that because even though this one here was supposedly for everybody, it turns out all the bus drivers hadn't heard that particular rule about the mask. But every time they've made this rule change, it's always been on a Friday. My mother hasn't gotten home till 5:30 or after, and they close the offices at 5 o'clock. So they come out with these directives that there's nothing I can do about by Monday because you just can't do it. That is bad leadership. The other rule is bad leadership also because when I was talking to a young lady about this thing with the mask, she said, I'm not sure what the rule is. Let me go do some investigating. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. So you had someone on Friday tell a bus driver that there's something they had to do, but the people who I'm talking to on customer service don't know what the rule is? That's a failure of leadership. You know, leaders need to own their own policies. You don't get to basically make something up and then not make sure everybody knows the policy. You don't get to make something up and then make sure that you know what you're talking about. Because when she came back, she said, yes, there was this thing that was a directive from the governor of the state that everyone should be wearing a mask if they understand why they need to wear a mask. And that's crucial and that's key because the bus company knows which people who they're transporting have dementia. It's in the record. They have to know. It's been verified. My mother's had special permissions for the last 2.5 years to ride the bus and, you know, for certain other things. And just to have someone decide they're going to come up with some blanket policy is idiocy. As a matter of fact, the bus driver who I spoke to this morning did not know about the policy, and she even said there's not a single dementia patient or person Who rides the bus? Whoever wears the mask, because they won't keep them on. Well, duh. And the last time when leadership decided something that was specific to me was they wanted my mom to be in a wheelchair, going back and forth. But, like I said, she got home that day after 6 at night. Because, that's how the schedules go sometimes. I can't call anybody. Where am I supposed to get a wheelchair over the weekend that fast? Remember, we're in a pandemic. Everything was not open. I couldn't get a wheelchair that fast. Actually, I did, because my next door neighbor happened to have one, because her mother years ago used to go to the same place. So I could borrow one from her. But really, who comes up with these idiotic ideas, rules that can't be enforced or can't be worked upon because of the presentation, because of how it's written up? Leaders. And that's a bad leader. You're a bad leader. You're a cowardly leader because you yourself didn't give the information to the people who needed it. Both of those times, the last 2 times, for instance, I should have been called by the bus company. At least with the wheelchair, it was the people who mom goes to stay with a couple of days a week. They called. And I said, wait, why are you calling me? This is not supposed to be your job. And they said, well, they came here and they told us. No. And so that was something I made clear. No, that's not how that works. I'm the one who pays for the bus tickets, not those people. I give them bus tickets that I paid for so that they can give it to someone to bring her home. So if anything is going to involve my mother like that, y'all need to call me. You need to let me know. And if it involves a whole lot of people, you better let everybody know. And you're probably going to get called out on it pretty badly, which is probably how come leadership sometimes ducks their responsibility and tries to find ways to put on everybody else. And by the way, I also told the young lady I was talking to on the phone, half the people who come here to pick up my mother aren't wearing the mask properly. They have it under their nose like they're not even trying. And she said, well, there's nothing we can really do about that because we're not out with them. That's another fault of leadership. Train your people how to wear the mask. Come on. How difficult is that? We've been wearing these masks for almost a year now. You should be teaching these people. Why didn't I tell any of them? Because that's not my job. I don't work for the company. They're not going to listen to me anyway. And I can't risk them treating my mother bad because I have asked them how come they're not wearing their mask properly. Really. Leaders, y'all need to own up to your responsibility. You need to do the right thing. You need to make sure your employees are trained right. You need to make sure that they're following the rules right. But you also need to make sure that the rules you're setting up are proper and that you know what you're doing. That's what I have to say. Y'all let me know what you think. My name is Mitch Mitchell. I hope you have a wonderful week.